Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Piglet here once again, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing, while we're still playing through mission mode, specifically for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Wii, as well as PC, and honorable mentions comes from the iOS smartphones, as well as the forms of the arcade machines, and finally for the Nintendo DS, which, despite the fact that hopefully at some point in the future, I'm also able to tackle through the DS version eventually at some point soon. So, last time, we've essentially managed able to fully complete missions 45 all the way up to 55. So, naturally speaking, we're actually getting ourselves some pretty good progression around here, and relatively speaking, that's all I can really say about it. Even though, mind you, about the fact that during the forms of mission 51, that I will admit though, it actually did take me about quite a few tries, mainly because no matter what though, I'm honestly not a big fan of that particular mission type, because obviously though, it's filled to the brim with a lot of zombies to take down, although thankfully though, taking down those zombies are optional to say the least, but that's besides the point. So today, for this video, is about the fact that this might actually be, not only is it going to be the true finale in terms of the forms of mission mode, but it's also the grand finale in terms of our Let's Play of the console version of Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing before we move on to the Nintendo DS version at some point in the future, like I said before. And relatively speaking, it's about the fact that, as you can tell, we now ended up in mission 56, where basically we're going back into a mini Grand Prix mission, and this time is actually going to be a fun one. And as a result, we're going to be going into the Super Monkey Ball Cup. So because of that though, or should I say Super Monkey Cup, as far as the mission description says. So either way, let's hop into this, shall we? And of course, as we expected, we are forced to able to play as II during new forms of this particular mission. Makes sense, because obviously though, we're going to be traversing into not only treetops, as well as the forms of sandy drifts, and on top of that, monkey target as well. So generally speaking, it's about the fact that this is going to be, like I said before, it's going to be pretty exciting to me though, because not only we can able to actually experience this particular mini Grand Prix mission, but it also is going to be the final one at some point in mission 63. So no matter what though, we can pretty much expect able to come across into a lot of action going on. So because of that though, yeah, not much else I can really say about that, I guess. So anyway, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, is the 3rd of May today, in some cases in 2024 today. And generally speaking, for those of you probably wondering, that yes indeed, that I forgot to mention about, since in Journey Forms of on Wednesday, potentially speaking well, better late than never, I suppose. But relatively speaking, is that recently, SpongeBob SquarePants, as the cartoon series, has recently became 25 years old just recently, since likely 2 days ago. So generally speaking, yeah, it is so great to able to actually celebrate the 25th anniversary of the SpongeBob SquarePants series, even though I was originally trying to able to actually tackle through something related to SpongeBob SquarePants at one point, for likely or so for the next game to tackle through, but I'm afraid to tell you that particular new Let's Play for SpongeBob SquarePants will be delayed at some point in the next couple of months. Well, this is mainly because, well, I should probably be able to actually save that particular topic and do it at some point in the future. So either way, so yeah, that basically does it for treetops, so pretty self-explanatory. And now we're going to be going back into sandy drifts, since it not only once, but twice. So this is technically the 3rd time we're going to be able to experience this particular course in Journey Forms of mission mode. So because of that though, and let's put up with the forms of monkey race music, because obviously though, I'm pretty sure this particular music track is actually based off from Super Monkey Ball 1, which I honestly don't mind, because it is so iconic for that particular musical piece during the forms of that particular game itself, because obviously it makes it a little bit more fitting, because unlike the other games, ranging from, you know what I'm saying, All-Stars Racing Transformed, in addition to the forms of Team Sonic Racing, there was no way we can able to actually change the background music every now and then. So, a little bit of a missed opportunity right there, which that's the perfect example of why. I will admit though, I still managed to enjoy this game a lot, compared to the forms of how it does on the sequel, in my opinion. And on top of all that stuff though, with Team Sonic Racing as well. Although, don't get me wrong, I still managed to be able to enjoy All-Stars Racing Transformed a lot with its concept, but as far as doing stunt tricks, it's actually very tricky to pull off, at least in my opinion. And on top of all that stuff though, with Team Sonic Racing, I'm still not a big fan of the actual team gameplay mechanics, because no matter what though, sometimes it can either be not only luck-based, but it's also kind of frustrating as well, depending on your teammates, if they acting out kind of dumb and all that stuff, depending on what difficulty you select. So that's besides the point. So anyways, there's also another thing I want to point out as well, is that unfortunately, yes indeed, I've somehow coming back onto Mario Kart Tour again, and recently I finally managed to able to unlock the next unlockable character. And originally though, I was expected to try and able to actually buy myself the next Mii racing suit based off from the Koopalings, but that's not the case though, because instead, I actually did somehow receive Meowser, which appears to be the actual, the cat form of Bowser from the likes of in Super Mario 3D World, and same applies with the forms of, you know, Super Mario Maker 2. So generally speaking, I was about the fact that despite it, the actual item does contain, that's what appears to be the coin box, and, relatively speaking though, I honestly don't mind able to actually have myself Meowser as the forms of that particular character selection right now in Mario Kart Tour, because relatively speaking I was about the fact that I was originally trying to able to actually get Ludwig von Koopa Mii racing suit, but there's one downside about this though, and that's what appears to be the special item you get, and that's of course the dash ring. So as a result, I might as well give that a pass. So I mean, relatively speaking, I was just about the fact that I'm still basically getting sick of the forms of getting ownage most of my time, especially noticeable with all this particular rubber banding AI, and on top of that, the item system still sucks to me. So either way though. Anyways, let's move on now to Monkey Target right here, and this is where the track gets a little bit more difficult. Well, as far as I'm aware, the last time we actually experienced this particular racetrack, as far as this is concerned, was back in during forms of in the Grand Prix mode back in 2017, by able to actually play as Sonic the Hedgehog of all things in the Monkey Cup. So potentially speaking, I was just about the fact that, wow, I was got able to memorize the actual track layout. So obviously though, it was about the fact that, well, yeah, while looking back in during forms of in the SpongeBob SquarePants cartoon series after 25 years since when it first came out, I still find it to be quite a good experience. To be more specifically, Season 1, Season 2, as well as Season 3. Not only because of its humor when it comes to its charm, but it's also about the fact that there's a lot of memes all over the internet. Like, for instance, like, there was this particular episode where basically though we have to like, well, let's just say, both SpongeBob and Squidward has to work in the Krusty Krab for about 24 hours a day. And then I love the actual meme saying about the fact that, well, Squidward goes like, "Who wants a Krabby Patty at 3 in the morning?" And then Patrick goes like, "Oh boy, 3 a.m. Yeah, that is definitely the most charming over-the-top meme of all time, next to chocolate in Chocolate with Nuts episode. So because of that though, yeah, I can totally see why about the fact that a lot of people do remember the older seasons, specifically Season 1, as well as Season 2 and 3, just because of the actual memes is obviously going to be completely over the top. So, and in fact, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your thoughts about the forms of the SpongeBob SquarePants cartoon for able to celebrate the 25th anniversary for that particular series' debuted? Although, to be more specifically though, what do you guys think about it after looking back on that particular series after 25 years since when it first came out in 1999? Although, generally speaking, I was about the fact that back then, that we actually got ourselves a pilot episode called Help Wanted. And before that is about the fact that we actually got ourselves 2 proper episodes. So because of that though, yeah, I can totally see why about the fact that the you know what I'm saying. The first 3 seasons is obviously the pure classic, and while looking back on the best episode ever, which appears to be Band Geeks, my god, that episode is still iconic even to this day, especially noticeable with the introduction to, without a doubt, the most epic music in the whole entire series is debuted. That's what appears to be Sweet Victory. I mean, relatively speaking though, that is super awesome to me, especially noticeable. I can just simply rewatch that particular episode over and over and over again, not just by the forms of comedy, but it's also about the fact that with this amazing Sweet Victory song. So because of that though, to be more specifically, towards at the very end of that specific episode, and why the heck does Shadow never gives up in doing any forms of specific missions like this? I totally get it about the fact that the Year of Shadow still continues, so yeah, what is up with him? Just keeps on appearing more often. Well, I totally get it because it's the ultimate life form, of course. So, anyway, so let's move on now to Mission 57, where we're going back into Knockout again. And if I recall correctly, this might actually be the final time we're going to be doing with the Knockouts kind of missions. Because as far as I'm aware, it's about the fact that obviously we're getting very, very close towards the end of mission mode at the very least. So, yeah, we can pretty much guarantee we can able to actually get, you know what I'm saying, some good results, well, for some exceptions from time to time, because as far as I'm aware, is that some of these other missions can get a lot more difficult every now and then. And of course, just like always, I did manage to able to unlock some more musical set pieces, or specifically I purchased some more music off screen during the forms of the shopping menu, specifically on the PlayStation 3 version, kind of think about it. So, generally speaking, that's as far as I can usually say about that, I guess, and anyway, so let's move on to the next topic at this point, and as it turns out, no matter what though, that we're about to be able to be receiving not 1, not 2, but 3 upcoming Lego Sonic the Hedgehog sets, and well, I gotta say, those are pretty cool looking. Like, for instance, is about the fact that one of those sets in particular were able to contain not only Super Sonic for the first time, but also with Shadow the Hedgehog, alongside with the forms of Dr. Eggman, with the forms of the Egg Driller contraption, as well as the forms of the Gun Beetle, and on top of that, there's also the Egg Pawn, and that's as far as I can say about the forms of the first set. And the second set does manage to contain the Egg Robo from the likes of the forms of Sonic 3 and Knuckles in Sky Century level. And speaking of which, is that it also contains Knuckles as well as Amy Rose with the forms of Pico Pico Hammer. And of course, we can never forget the Angel Island Shrine, or in some cases the Master Emerald Shrine, I should say. So because of that though, yeah, it seems pretty cool. And the final set it does manage to contain, and that's what appears to be one of those sets in particular, that Tails did somehow manage to able to craft a boat of all things, while Sonic is actually going to be participating for water glider or anything else like that. So yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. And also, much like the forms of how it does it on not only the Beijing 2008 Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, as well as London 2012 Olympic Games, as well as Rio 2016, as well as Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, obviously though, Sonic can able to actually have his life jacket. So because of that though, because he's allergic to water, as we expect at this point. So because of that though, yeah, I really like that specific little detail they added in for that particular third set, as I mentioned this earlier. So yeah, and as far as I'm aware, is that I'm pretty concerned it was about to be releasing probably at some point in summer as well. Seriously, what is up with the forms of several other Lego sets is always going to be releasing in summer, which as a result, first of all we have is the Lego Super Mario set, as well as the forms of Lego Animal Crossing, and now with the Sonic the Hedgehog Lego sets. So because of that though, it seems that the summer is going to be a perfect opportunity when it comes to likely, well, it's hard to explain really, because I never exactly brought that much Lego stuff since the Super Mario Lego set, to be more specifically with the starter course set, where it does manage to come with Mario as well as Bowser Jr. and all that stuff. But hopefully at some point in the future our Marios will do, but not now, just because no matter what though, that eventually at some point, by the end of this month, I think it's about time that I can able to actually finally get a chance to pre-order not only Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, but also with Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, so that way we can able to prepare ourselves with the upcoming Let's Plays when it comes to those two games in particular coming up. So, we can't exactly tell when exactly though, but I'm sure you guys might be stay tuned for that at some point in the future. So, anyways, here we go on to the next mission, where we're going to be taking control of Sonic once again, and no matter what though, the racetrack we're now going to be entering into is Dark Arsenal, and this time, not only we can able to collect rings, but also, very similar to the forms of how it does it on Mission 13, that basically, we're going to be collecting Chaos Emeralds, except this time, we're going to be collecting Chaos Emeralds as Sonic rather than Dr. Eggman, and also, not to mention though, it does manage to take place in a different racetrack, basically, so I was really hoping I can get myself an awesome AAA rank, but unfortunately though, I somehow accidentally drove past the previous Chaos Emerald, but that's okay though, because I'm pretty sure we can able to actually move along to the next mission, so because of that though, yeah, too easy, piece of cake. So, anyways though, so let's move on to the next mission, and basically we're going back to Monkey Target again, since not too while ago, except now we're gonna be playing as Amigo, and something tells me we must able to compete against with Ai. So, and I think fundamentally speaking, this will be the final time we're gonna be able to deal with the rifle race, basically, because as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that we haven't exactly got into the final, let's just say, Time Gates mission just yet, but hopefully we will do eventually. Now, as far as I'm aware, is that the next, or should I say, the final Time Gate mission is gonna be pretty difficult, which you'll see why, until what if we get into that particular mission for reals, so, but, yeah. That's as far as I can say about the actual specific topic at this point, guys. I mean, let's face it though, it's about the fact that it is quite incredible to able to know that one of the most iconic cartoon series of all time, in journey forms of Nickelodeon, is now 25 years old, which is gone fly by, you know? And it's especially noticeable during around the exact same year, actually, that we're about to be able to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the first ever SpongeBob SquarePants movie on the big screen, which you know exactly what I'm talking about, which then again we'll get into more details on that topic until eventually at some point. So because of that though, I was really hoping for a AAA rank again, but of course I'm also able to go for AA ranks just like the previous mission, which I am okay with that. So, but anyway, so I get the strong feeling about the fact that we've almost unlocked certain missions up to this point. So, relatively speaking, let's move on now to the next mission, which is mission number 6T, where basically we can able to take control of Oopa Oopa from the likes of the Fantasy Zone games, and basically this time we need able to go into Highway 0, and basically though we need to obtain more boost, so just in case we can able to actually get some star points to able to actually reach a certain amount of ranks. So, now I believe fundamentally speaking this will be the final time we're going to be able to try and participating in doing the boost missions. So because of that, not too shabby right there for that particular boost start, and because of that though we got to keep on drifting a lot, so just in case we can able to actually easily try to caught up with that particular ranking system. So because of that though, hopefully this particular mission is not too much of a big of a deal, because obviously though it's about the fact that I will say that unlike in Sandy Drifts, that is actually quite tricky, at least to be more specifically when it comes to doing with a lot of drifting, whilst usually in here though it's actually not too shabby right there. So anyway, and also if you're probably wondering, yes, I did somehow got that particular trophy from a couple of minutes ago actually, right after finishing one of those missions in particular, which is the Super Monkey Cup, where basically though we've somehow experienced every single racetrack. The only one in particular exception to this, however though, that is of course a Kanga, but that's just mainly because that particular track is for DLC, so because of that though, everything else will be come to expect. So yeah, there we go. Another AAA rank, so that's actually super awesome and everything. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure we've now unlocked the Robot Cup, and as far as I'm aware, we can't able to actually unlock the true final mission just yet, until we've basically passed through every single missions up to this point. So anyways, let's move on now to mission number 61, and this time we're going to be taking control of Tails in the Junior Forms within a battle race. So, and I believe something tells me we must able to take down Sonic. So because of that though, usually takes place in Ocean Ruin. And I believe this is going to be the final time we're going to be doing with the battle race as well. So just to ensure about the fact that we can easily try to able to mash the X button on the PlayStation 3 version, or the A button on the Xbox 360 version for that matter. And I believe on the Wii version, you can't able to actually use the directional pad to use the items as far as I'm aware. So generally speaking, that's as far as I can say about it. And also get this, you can also able to actually try to aim the items from the back. So that way you can get a huge opportunity to able to actually beat the forms of certain opponents way faster than I thought it was. So because of that though, I always love doing stuff like this, especially noticeable because it makes things a little bit more interesting and exciting at the same time. And relatively speaking though, that much like Mario Kart Wii, alongside with Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8, as well as 8 Deluxe for the Switch version, and generally speaking though, also same applies with Mario Kart Tour as well, I always have to make sure I have to look at the back, so just in case I can able to actually get ourselves a clear view to know about the fact I can able to aim the items backwards, so that's always swell. But anyway, so let's move on now to mission 62, and oh boy, this mission right here is without a doubt is the hardest mission I've ever experienced so far. Mainly because, for one, it does manage to take place in Deadly Route, and on top of that, we're going to be playing as Big the Cat, since in Journey Forms within not only one of those times, in Journey Forms within Sunshine Tour Racetrack by not only avoiding certain parts, but also breaking certain parts, and generally speaking, it's about the fact that we have to put up with the forms of some very slow speed. And relatively speaking, it's about the fact that what makes this mission quite tricky at times, at least if you really want to go after the highest ranking, is that I will admit though, the rocket start is a bit tricky to pull off, and generally speaking is that his handling is a bit off, and on top of that, the acceleration just feels a bit, well, I can totally see why that Big the Cat was actually the heavy type, or specifically a power type character. Well, despite the fact that unlike in Team Sonic Racing, that he was actually a power type, and generally speaking he does not make a return in All-Stars Racing Transforms, because it's been overtaken by a whole bunch of SEGA IPs, likely also for the sake of the forms of not only the Skies of Arcadia, as well as the forms of other like SEGA properties as well. And yeah, this particular mission is actually a lot difficult, so because of that though, I somehow failed this mission. So because of that, yeah, if I do get a time over, that means I somehow failed the mission. So, oh jeez, this might take a bit of while folks, this might take a bit of while. But either way, I still have not pulled this off. Okay, whatever. Oh boy, because no matter what though, is that certain time gates is actually quite tricky to pass through sometimes. Unless if you know what to do for this point, then obviously I highly recommend you able to try to go after the highest time gates, likely also for +5. So just in case you weren't able to get plenty of time. Oh jeez Louise, it has filled to the brim with a lot of like negative time gates that we have to avoid. Journey involves this particular spiral path. I mean, geez, that's quite maddening, honestly. But anyway, I was gonna have to able to focus on this for the most part, so just in case I don't mess this up. But it looks like we're not doing too shabby around here, which, as a result, jeez, I somehow got knocked by the forms of that particular random tube things as an obstacle. But oh well, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. So. And I suppose there's also another thing. Come on, really? Okay, whatever. We'll take a singular A. I was really hoping I can get ourselves the best results, but I'll take it. I'll definitely take it, and I don't care. Well, as long as I have to replay this mission on my own time for a bit. But oh well, no big deal. So anyways, let's move on now to the next mission, which is mission number 63, and this one appears to be the final mini Grand Prix mission, which does manage to take place in the majority of the racetracks based off from Final Fortress from the Sonic the Hedgehog universe. So because of that, and something tells me we're going to be playing as the one and only Dr. Eggman. Ever since in Journey Forms have been a couple of missions ago, to be more accurate though, for collecting Chaos Emeralds in mission number 13 in Whale Lagoon, and you probably need the idea. So either way, let's go and get started with the forms of the final Grand Prix mission, just before the final mission in the whole entire mode, and also the entire game as well. So let's just put up with, let's go for What You Need from Sonic Rush. Now, I believe that particular music track was actually on Deadline Zone in Sonic Rush. So, to be more specifically though, the Sonic's version of, Deadline, at least as far as I'm aware. Because unlike in Blaze the Cat's version of that particular stage, it does have a different kind of tone for the music. Which, as a result, yeah, you can probably get the idea about the fact that I'm actually going to be able to... Well, I'm probably not going to mention about this right about now, actually, when it comes to the forms of Sonic Rush for right now, because, obviously, though, there's a lot of things I would like to point out as well, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, yes, indeed, about the fact that a lot of people seemed able to get overly rage in Journey forms of that particular, you know what I mean, with Mufasa the Lion King's existence for that teaser trailer, and nobody else asked for that, myself included. Because let's face it though, it's just pretty soulless, which I'm pretty sure about the fact I've already on about it since in Journey Forms have been Wednesday sometime. So yeah, I honestly still gonna have to be able to skip that film for now. Although there's one thing you might able to realize about something, is that the actual premise of the actual film is gonna usually takes place, well, let's just say, like we've already established that before, it's basically a prequel, and that's what it appears to be it's all about. The race of one of the greatest kings of the Pride Lands goes back to the African savannah, where Rafiki tells Kiara, daughter of Simba and Nala, the story of her granddaughter, while Timon and Pumbaa add color commentary. So because of that though, yeah, it's basically a flashback, and because of that though, this is what makes a little bit ridiculous to me, because I'm almost assuming about the fact that they're able to actually have some bit of a connection with The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride. Likely also, I'm almost expecting that Zero will make her brief appearance or something, or Kovu, but unfortunately though, that's not the case. And yeah, a lot of Disney fans out there is going to be pretty ticked off, as you probably already expect. So, either way, I have nothing else to really say about that. And also, yes, indeed, they've shown us a actual brief poster, which is pretty bleak to me. I'm honestly not surprised about the fact that it feels like Disney is running out of ideas right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, until next month, that Inside Out 2 is going to be a lot more exciting in my opinion, because I'm really looking forward to seeing Joy as well as any other characters again, except on the films been a brand new sequel of films. So anyways, let's move on to Dark Arsenal for the final time, and relatively speaking I put it in Eggman instrumental version, and obviously the actual theme song is actually based off from Sonic Adventure 2, with the one and only Eggman's theme. Although, mind you, we can't exactly tell from the lyrics right now, so because of that though, I basically know about the forms the actual song plays out, like Eggman and all that stuff. So yeah, to be more specifically in Sonic Adventure 2, most likely. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that. So, but again, there's nothing else I can really say about the forms of other stuff, I'm afraid, guys. I mean, generally speaking, it's just about the fact that, well, when it comes to the forms of other stuff, I would like to point out as well, is that, speaking of which, I believe we've only got about 2 weeks left now until My Little Pony, A Several Heights Mystery is going to be releasing on multiple platforms, basically, including Nintendo Switch. So, I'm sure enough, though, is about the fact that, well, I'm not exactly sure if I was trying to get it, though, but that's just mainly because I'm still waiting for Nintendo's next big move for the likes of the next Nintendo system's existence, because as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that we still have no idea what is happening during the forms of in the second half of 2024 so far. I mean, besides the fact that we've already got some other games coming up for it, for the sake of the forms of the second half of the year already, but the majority of them are just basically third-party games, including with the forms of indie stuff as well, but that's all there is to really think about it. And generally speaking, an honorable mentions for the sake of Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, which I'm pretty sure no matter what though, since we are in May right now, maybe, just maybe, there might be a possibility that we might able to actually see Sonic Central Direct at some point coming up. Likely also able to mention about the forms of Missile stuff for Sonic the Hedgehog brand, and maybe, just maybe, we can able to actually see a new trailer for the likes of Sonic Cross Shadow Generations coming up at some point, because as far as I'm aware, it's been about quite a few months ago now since when Sonic Cross Shadow Generations announcement trailer did somehow came up, thanks to the forms of the State of Play back in during forms of by the end of January, in during forms of this year, which I'm still very excited about the forms of replaying through Sonic Generations again, except with the additional playable character, which is of course Shadow the Hedgehog. So because of that though, yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic to know about the forms of how Shadow's gameplay style actually plays out to be. And as far as I'm aware, I'm still a little bit optimistic about the fact that what specific levels they'll added in from the Shadows portion of Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. So, but then again, we'll have to wait and see what happens in due time. Maybe there's a possibility that Mars will be able to continuously mention more about it during the forms within Summer Game Fest at some point in the future, specifically in June in some cases though. But anyway, let's move on now to the Thunder deck in Final Fortress, and as we expected, we'll put up with the background music with the one and only Final Fortress because of the forms of thundery clouds in the background, so it makes things a little bit more of a perfect fit for able to actually get the tone for the music. So because of that though, yeah, let's get this racetrack on the roll. And relatively speaking, let's just see if our performance will actually go pretty swell. At least for the most part, so... Oh, and yes, as far as I'm aware, it's about the fact that yes indeed, I did manage to unlock specific characters off screen as well, specifically on the PlayStation 3 version as a matter of fact. And in fact, no matter what though, we basically play as every single characters up to this point, including Metal Sonic, and in addition to Banjo and Kazooie. The only two exceptions to this, however though, is both Avatar as well as me on the Wii version, but that's just mainly because, as far as I'm aware, they basically behave exactly the same, aside from the fact that with the different design. What the heck? Did I somehow clip for that loop? Oh, jeez. I was not expecting for that particular glitch. Okay. I got nothing more else to say. Okay, let's just continue. And, yeah, I was expecting if I was trying to get to the shortcuts on... Oh, jeez. Oh, what the heck just happened? I get the strong feeling about the fact that with this racetrack in mind, is actually going to get a lot tricky, because as far as I'm aware, it's been a very long time since I actually have last experienced this racetrack, since technically in Team Sonic Racing, because in Team Sonic Racing did manage to bring this racetrack back as the forms of, let's just say, on the final chapter or something. Well, mind you about the fact that I might consider able to try to give Team Sonic Racing a second chance at some point in the future. And speaking of which though, it's about the fact that during around that time later on in this month, that we can able to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the game's release of Team Sonic Racing eventually. So because of that though, yeah, there's nothing else I can really add around here, especially noticeable concerning for the fact that, well, at the very least, luckily, we did not come across into a glitch again. So, yeah, still have no idea what the heck just happened for about, usually on the first lap. Or perhaps even maybe because of this collision thing that's about to be happening or something? Well, I can't exactly tell for sure. Well, even then though. Again, I apologize for my commentary is a little bit slightly iffy at this point. I mean, I've already mentioned about quite a few things, potentially speaking, for today. So, that's besides the point. So, oh, this turn is a little bit awkward, but at least I'll just keep on boosting, and I think I'm gonna be fine taking 3rd place. And No matter what though, we're still on the first place position. So because of that though, yeah, I'll let Tails win this time. Especially noticeable concerning the fact that just like in Sonic Adventure 2, that basically though Tails usually battle against with Dr. Eggman not once but twice during the forms of in Sonic Adventure 2 with both of those character battles respectively. So anyway, so as you can see, we've now unlocked the true final mission in the whole entire mode, even for the entire game itself, and we're going back to Seaside Square since Mission 4. And here we go, on to Mission 64, which appears to be the finale. So what kind of mission do we have around here? Well, first of all, let me quickly choose the musical track around here, and that will go on to A New Day, based off from Sonic Rush, if you ever experienced the special stages as Sonic. So because of that though, makes sense to me. And basically, oh god, we have the exact same mission concept as in mission number 51. Except this time, it does manage to take place in a different battle arena, and rather than taking down a huge zombie-like creature, so instead we're about to take down this egg hammer kind of robot, which, yeah, it's basically Egg Hammer, except he doesn't have a hammer on his hand. So because of that though, yeah, just like last time, we got able to use the items to drain his health down. And one thing I should probably want to point things out potentially right about now is that if you somehow get one of those item boxes during about right here, the actual item boxes will not respawn. So because of that though, it only appears in one time, and that's all there is to anything about it. So because of that though, thankfully though, I will admit though right away is that this mission is actually kind of tricky and challenging. But I must say though, is about the fact that I do honestly enjoy driving around. Let's just say the forms of Seaside Square, and relatively speaking, as far as what you probably already noticed, that you can obviously only play as this particular battle course or the battle stage in multiplayer only, which, yeah, it feels a bit similar to, you know what I'm saying, with Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Mario Kart 64, as well as Mario Kart Super Circuit and all that. So, oh jeez, it hurts so much. At least thankfully though, unlike the actual giant zombie monster, that basically though, if you toss the actual items right between its legs, then, well, it's hard to explain really, because it's been about 2 days ago since I actually have last experienced those kinds of missions like this, and on top of that, you know, last time we played this game potentially, so, anyway. Also, I just really love the actual A New Day music in the background, because then again, it's almost inspired by, you know, Sonic Rush vibes, to be more specifically if you go to the special stages as Sonic, so, yeah. And of course, you got able to keep an eye on the time limit, so, yeah, you got able to rush this, basically, so, because otherwise, if you don't rush this at all, then you have to do a continuous amount of trial and error when it comes to this mission in general, so. And yeah, that's as far as I can say about the forms of mission mode in Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. Again, as I mentioned this before, it's nice to be going back into this game at long last after 7 years or so. So I'm gonna say I can still able to actually enjoy this game a lot. So that's the reason why I somehow got multiple versions of Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. Because let me tell you, this game is a lot of fun while looking back on it though, and also able to experience this game. The only one exception in particular, and that's what appears to be the PC version. Now, for what I can tell, that the PC version does run very smoothly within 60 frames per second, for I've noticed, and also the graphics has been a little bit altered slightly, so, and of course, as you can see, since I accidentally select next mission, it takes me straight back to square one with mission 1, and that's all there is to really think about it. So, yeah, and I suppose that pretty much does it for everything on mission mode in Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. My goodness, it was quite a lot of experience that we somehow went into, and generally speaking, it's actually a lot of fun to able to experience that particular mode, so even then, that's what I can really say about it. So thank you guys so much for watching our continuation Let's Play of the forms of Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing, to be more specifically in mission mode, mind you, and let's face it though, it's actually a lot of fun to go back into this game. So because of that though, I'm sure enough in the future though, like I said before, I will get a chance to able to actually tackle for the DS version at some point, but not now now anyway though, because we've got a lot of stuff to do when it comes to doing some more Let's Plays to tackle through, and I suppose it's been quite some time since we actually tackled a Mario game for quite a while, since Mario vs. Donkey Kong, but we'll think about that for a moment. So because of that though, yeah, this is me, Piglet, here, from the likes of the Mexi Toys, and until then, yeah, not much else I can really say about this, I guess. I mean, still, no matter what though, yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this game again, and yeah. So, yeah, as I said before, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for some more parts on several other things. So, yeah, I'll see you guys at some point soon. Bye!